Seriously? If you knock over this camera, you already moved my camera. This is not where my shot was at. Hey! Oh my god! Hey, what's up? I'm Allie and welcome back to my channel. I thought I would do a series about series. Does that make sense? So I wrote down some notes. I'm going to do series that I need to finish, which is what we're going to talk about today. Series that I want to read. All my finished series I won't be finishing, and ongoing series that I am interested in, kind of deal. So like, these are some video ideas that I have in mind, but I thought, you know what, I have talked not really extensively, but I've talked a lot over the past year or more about how I have serious commitment issues when it comes to series. So I have started a lot of series because I really love series, and way back in the day I would just wait till a series was done and binge read them, but then as I got more into booktube I felt like I was expected to keep up with newer releases, and then it just got out of hand and I wasn't keeping up with the ongoing progress of a series because I have the memory of a bird. My battery's gonna die. Of course my battery's gonna die. Okay, we back, we good. Alright, good to go. There isn't really a whole lot of organization to this. First, I'm just gonna tell you about the series that I'm currently in the middle of. So, one that I talked a lot about that I'm currently in the middle of and loving, and just, again, serious commitment issues. Storm of Locusts. This is the second to Trail of Lightning. This is actually called like the Sixth World series, I believe, but I really love this story, and it is a Navajo-inspired mythology kind of dystopian world, and it's kick-ass, and I love it, and our main character is a monster slayer. What's not to love? Why can't I finish it? I am also in the middle of Kingdom of Flesh and Fire, which is the second in the From Blood and Ash. I always get the name wrong, and I don't understand why, but I think it's from Blood and Ash. I believe that's the actual series title. But this is a more romance heavy, and it's thick. Hence why I don't think I have made it very far in. Anytime I sit down and read this, it's for a long period of time because I think it's so darn good and addictive once I get into it, but I look at it and I feel very overwhelmed. The other one that I've just kind of recently started is We Free the Stars, and I loved We Hunt the Flame so diggity dang much that I went out and immediately bought this because I knew I needed to continue. Just so darn good. A huntress who has this ability to go into like basically this dark forest and no one else returns, but she returns. So she like has the skill to come in and out and whatnot, and a witch shows up and is like, I have a mission for you. You need to go find this book of magic to return magic to the world and defeat this dark forest that's like continuing to grow. And then we also follow an assassin. I'm always down for an assassin point of view, and he has been sent to kill her. It's a slow burn romance, and it is beautiful. Thank you all for recommending this to me, because this was recommended to me several times on Twitter, and I was like, okay, I gotta see what the hype's about, and it's so good. I'm waiting for We Hunt the Flame to come so I can go through and tab it, because as I was going through it, I was like, this is a book that I want to tab so bad, and I've already created a tabbing system for this one. It's a series. I love to tab series. So I do have several middle grade series that I'm currently in the middle of. The Jumbies is one. I do believe that this is a completed series. I think there's at least 3 in the series, but I really enjoyed the first one. It's kind of a horror-esque children's book about the Jumbies, which are like a Caribbean type myth, and it is fascinating and kind of spooky at times and really great. I tend to really love kids horror because I can't do I can't do adult horror that well, but I love kids horror. Is the Sisters Grimm. I do believe that I am on like book 5 of this, but I just don't own a copy, hence why I have not continued. I am missing a few, and I'm looking very specifically for certain editions. So once I get that, I'll probably get back into it. This is also something that I read a little bit at a time because these are really silly. They are like Once Upon a Time for Kids. They are about these two girls who become detectives as these crimes are happening in a fairy tale world, and it's just so much fun. There's fart jokes and it's great. Anyone who tells you they don't like fart jokes is lying. Don't own but want to continue Be Gone the Raggedy Witches. I only have the last one in the trilogy left, and so I really need to finish that. It's a darker middle grade with magic, and it was one of the scarier, I would say, middle grades that I read, just because it was so depressing at times, about this girl whose family has been like kidnapped, and so she goes into the woods and has to defeat these raggedy witches, and it is intense. The second one was super depressing because it's about like how basically depression can change who you are and like turn you into something unfamiliar kind of deal. Oh, they're really good, but also really, really intense. I think the only other one for middle grade is the Cassidy Blake series, which is by V.E. Schwab, and it is about a girl who goes and like she can see ghosts, and naturally her parents are like ghost hunters, but they don't know that she can see ghosts, and so that's been a pretty fun series. I just like to listen to those here and there. They're not like my favorite thing, but they are interesting to listen to. So I think I just haven't read the newest one because it was a recent release. Yeah, that's it for my middle grade. This isn't really middle grade, but I would classify it as like a bridge book because it is based on a middle grade series, and that is The Trials of Apollo by Rick Riordan. It is, you know, based off of some of the characters in Percy Jackson. I can't remember if Percy Jackson makes an appearance in this series or not, but I'm on I think this is book 4, and book 5 is also out. The series might actually be done, but I have left off at book 4. So I actually really enjoyed this series as I was reading it, so I just need to get back into it. I love, just Rick Riordan's writing is just so addictive, and it's fun and it's silly, but it's also very informative, and I feel like I just learned so much about mythology, and even like this one deals a lot with like Roman time period and stuff as well. So I've been really enjoying this series, and so I need to get back into it. It has spoiled because I did not know that there is like a reading order to things. For some reason I was just thinking that this was just like a series that takes place in the same world at a different time. This does spoil the Heroes of Olympus series, which I hadn't read. So this series did spoil that for me. Just a heads up for anyone else who might be unfamiliar. Oldest ones on my shelf. I have not finished the Bone Witch series, which the Bone Witch was my favorite book the year that I read it. So I don't know what my deal is, but the Heart Forager is the next one on my list, and I believe that this is a trilogy, so then there's one more after this, and I do want to give the Bone Witch a reread at this point because it has been, I think, like 5 years since I read the Bone Witch. The Bone Witch was one of the first arcs I ever received, and I absolutely loved it. I have such fond memories of it, and these covers are stunning, so I just need to get back into it. It is about a girl who is like a necromancy type witch, and they are very feared, and we find out at the very beginning that she has been exiled, but you don't know why. So it's kind of looking back on how she's very feared, but also they need her to survive because she's very rare. And so it's about like her training, and also it's a little bit of a love triangle, I guess, but like a very well done one. And so yeah, it's fantastic. Good stuff. Really good stuff. And then another series that I just haven't continued is The Beautiful. This is The Damned. It's the second one. I think the third one is coming out soon, so I might just wait because I think it is also going to be a trilogy, and just wait for it to be done at this point. I enjoyed The Beautiful. It wasn't like super exciting or over the top or anything like new to me, but I did really enjoy it, and so I am interested in The Damned because it left off on quite the cliffhanger, and I need to know what the hickety heck is gonna happen. So this is a more romance heavy vampire story about a girl. There's murders happening around her, and they just keep happening around her, and she also maybe has gotten involved with a vampire gang. Maybe, possibly. It's a lot of fun. I have my wrappings on them, so like, forgive me. Do Girls of Storm and Shadow. This is the sequel to Girls of Paper and Fire. This is an arc I've been thinking about getting a finished copy. The only problem is I had started this and wasn't really enjoying it. And I heard very mixed things about this, so I was a little on the fence. I do still want to continue it because Girls of Paper and Fire, I absolutely loved. It is a much darker YA fantasy about a young girl who is taken to the capital to be basically a sex slave for the king. I was very confused about the rankings of the world, but as the book went on, it was very good. It was very action-packed, and of course, there's this constant underlying harshness to it. However, it is also a love story, so she ends up falling in love with one of the girls that is there with her. So this deals with the aftermath, obviously, what happened in the first one. I think this was originally supposed to be a duology, and it was since turned into a trilogy. I don't know, I always feel weird about books that were originally supposed to be like a certain set of books and then they get extended, because I'm just like, I'm nervous about the storyline, because now you're gonna have to backtrack on the storyline and like undo some things. Are there gonna be holes that we gotta like, what? I'm nervous, you know, like this wasn't the OG plan kind of deal. And then I need to finish the Anti-Darken series. Again, another one that I just absolutely loved. What the heck? Anti-Darken is a Vlad the Impaler retelling, but it is also a gender bender type story where Vlad is a girl and we are actually looking at like her upbringing and how she has come to be, and we're also following like her brother and whatnot. It has been a long time since I read the first one, so I would probably have to do a reread. I do believe that I own the whole series. I think this is actually the third one. So I have the second one. First one is Anti-Darken, then we have Now I Rise, and then we have Brightly Burn. So I just need to get around to it. I really enjoyed this type of story. So how many times am I going to say I just really need to get around to it? You know, I don't think I have to say that every time. What? Allie. Stop it. These are all ones. Hello, focus on me. Thank you. These are all ones that I'm sure everyone rushed out to read, and I just didn't because I'm lame. That's it. That's my excuse. But Horror of the Ninth, I really enjoyed Gideon the Ninth. I know my hesitation on this series mostly because Gideon the Ninth was kind of a lot to get through. It's a lot of brain work. It took a lot more of my willpower to get through it, even though I really enjoyed it. It just was a lot. Sometimes I had to reread parts because I was like, this doesn't really make sense to me, but I'm going to try to make it work. I need to continue on with this series because I love Gideon the Ninth, and it left off also on quite the cliffhanger. So, and I would love to get back into this world. It is just such a dark and gritty and fantastic world. Speaking of dark and gritty and fantastic and also taking place in space, they both take place in space. I need to finish Red Rising. This is probably the most shameful one to me because I would consider Red Rising like one of my all-time favorite series, and I haven't even finished it. What have I been doing? So this is a sci-fi, which is weird because I don't tend to, I feel like I don't tend to like hardcore sci-fi, but I've heard from hardcore sci-fi fans that they don't really like this, so I'm wondering if it's because it's not really hardcore sci-fi. Do you know what I mean? You following what I'm putting down? No. No one is. Anyway, Amanda so graciously sent me copies of this book, and she has her own notes and whatnot in this, and it made it even more fun. I think, again, the problem with this one is that it does take a lot more brain power for me because it is more heavy sci-fi, and that's just not something that I read a lot of, so sometimes I find it a little more challenging, I guess. It's just not something that I'm used to. This takes place in space, and there is a ranking system. People are born into, like, a color system, and it's like red is at the bottom and gold is at the top, and then there's like different layers, and like what you do for a living is based on your color that you're born into, and blah 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 blah. And we follow Darrow, who is a red, and he infiltrates gold to take down the system. The first one is so good because it's like it's a crazy game, and just everyone is just cutthroat and amazing, and I just love everyone so very much. Even the bad guys, like I was rooting for the bad guys at times because like they're written so well. So I don't know what, it takes me just a really long time to get through these, which is why, and this one's just extra big. And I do want to continue on because there is like another series that continues on after the original trilogy, so I want to get to that and I need to do a reread, I think. If anyone is planning a Red Rising reread at some point, or just read along, let me know. I am intrigued. I don't wanna. I just don't wanna. So yeah, I have not continued the Dark Artifaces series. I think this comes from a really big Cassandra Clare burnout for me. Anyway, so then as these were coming out, Lady Midnight came out, and I was so disappointed in Lady Midnight. They both made it onto my most like disappointing books of the year when I read those, and I just like felt like it was the same story written over and over and over again. So I was very hesitant. I didn't really want to continue, but the problem is that I can't help but eat up Cassandra Clare stories. It wasn't necessarily that I hated Lady Midnight. It's just like I was bored with it. Like I was just bored with this constant retelling of like the same story, just in a different setting with different characters, but like the same thing over and over. So I kind of stepped away from that and was just like, you know, I'm just gonna wait till she's done with her books, because at this point she's already on to like a different series, and we're so many books into that series, and like I'll get to that eventually. But they're all connected, so like it's all a big thing. I'm like, blah, 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 blah. I just wanted to write something new, honestly, at this point. But anyway, yeah, I need to finish the Dark Artifaces. I just have this one, but obviously it's a chonker, Sickeroni and cheese book. So Scythe, another one of my favorites. I only have the Toll left, the very last one in this series, and when I sit down and read these, I absolutely love them. If you don't know, it takes place in like a utopian world. You can't die unless you're killed by a scythe, and we follow two characters that get chosen to be apprentices to a scythe, and there's some perks to it, but the problem is that like they can't both get it. They can't both get the job, and things happen, but they're like kind of following in some of the other side's footsteps and seeing like how they make the decisions that they do to kill who they kill. And there's a lot of things happening, but there's also like this cloud thing that we're getting insight from, and the cloud has its own agenda, and it's something. It is something. So shit went down in the second one, and so I need to get to the third one. I picked it up and went to start it, and just it didn't happen. Just didn't happen. And then Serpent and Dove, I do think I'm just going to wait, because this is also another one. I thought this was just going to be like a duology, and I think this one also was announced to be longer at this point. I'm not too sure on that. Don't quote me. I might have just made that up in my head. But I do know that the second one is out, and I need to get around to it. This was one that I really enjoyed. I just like this as a fantasy romance. It is about a witch who has to marry a witch hunter, and I loved it. I love this, like, it's not a fake marriage, but like this appointed marriage, and like it worked for me. And I know there was a lot of people who were hating on this book when it came out because of a certain scene on a rooftop in the snow, and like, do you know teenagers? They do not care. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. We have one, it is a continuation, and I just consider those like part of just the overall series, and that is King of Scars. This takes place in the Grisha world, so I just consider it a continuation instead of like a series all its own. So I do need to start this. I had heard mixed things when this came out, but I am now more intrigued than ever after hearing some, not quite spoilers, but just like general talk about the series, and now I'm just like, I need to know. Like, I need to know what happened. I need to know. Another series. So I started this series, and I actually won the whole trilogy from the author. The author was doing a giveaway, and so these are customized to me. And I really enjoyed the first one. The first one was something Bastards. Was this the first? This is the first one, is it? Is this the first one? No. Royal Bastards. Okay. So the first one in this is Royal Bastards, then we have City of Bastards, and then there's War of Bastards, and I really enjoyed the first one when I read it, and at the time, the rest of the series hadn't come out, so I was just waiting for that to come out, and then it just got like shoved under a bunch of other things on my TBR and got pushed to the side. And then when I saw the author was doing a giveaway, I got really excited because I really enjoyed the first one. So anyway, as I was saying, this is just another series that I got to get around to. And what else do we have? I think this is the last one that I have to show you, and for some reason I grabbed both of these. So I absolutely loved Gilded Wolves, and so I need to get around to the Silvered Serpents and just continue. This is a very awesome fantasy type world. It's magical, and the magic is described so beautifully, and it is a heisty type book, and there are characters that I absolutely adore. We have a very troubled like gang leader and a love interest that like wants nothing to do with him, and I love it. I eat it up. And just a very awesome friend dynamic. Everyone's got like their own powers and whatnot, and it just works so well. So I just need to continue because I loved heist stories, fantasy heist stories to be exact. So these have a very interesting. I had these sitting beside a candle for like 2 years, and they have since taken on the smell of the candle. Fascinating. Now, I do have a few that I don't own. Queens of Orinthia series. The first one I think is Queen of Blood, maybe. I enjoyed that, and I was interested enough to see where it went, and I've heard that the series gets better as it goes on. I don't remember much about the first one, except for we have a girl who is training, I believe, and going to the castle to become part of, like, the Queen's army, maybe? Wow, I should probably get a refresher on that. I do own the ebook. I probably would get a physical copy so I can tab it up because I like to tab my series. The Themis Files, I think is what it's called, but the first one is Waking Gods. Is that the first one? Sleeping Giants is the first one. I need to continue that series because that one was fantastic. I love the audiobook of that one because it's a full cast narration and there's like sound effects and it's so very awesome. But it is a sci-fi story about they come across like this giant metal something. The parts of it, like the element that it is made of doesn't even exist on Earth, so they're like, what the heck have we stumbled upon? So it is about like these researchers looking into what this thing is and what it means for the world and if it is a weapon of mass destruction or not. And it is also mostly about like their personal relationships with each other and the dynamics between them and the dramatics of it all, and I just eat it up. I have River of Royal Blood. I do own the first one, but I don't know where it's at. I mean, I know where it's at. I don't know where the cover's at, so like I was just gonna show you a picture anyway. But I did enjoy this one. It is about two sisters, and basically when they turn 18, they have to try to kill each other to get the throne. And of course we follow the one sister who has a magic that like everyone is very scared of and whatnot, but her sister has the power of like persuasion. So it's like, how do you fight someone who can persuade you to do literally anything? So it is about that, her training and not wanting to use her magic because it is a blood magic and it just is like nothing but death and destruction. And so she is kind of trying to find a way that like, why do they have to do this and why is this tradition and things like that, and it's just, it's good stuff. So I need to find the second one. I'm hoping there's like a special edition because mine's a special edition and I want to like continue that anyway. And then I think the last one is Fortuna Sworn. I feel like I say it wrong every time. Fortuna Sworn, which is a very heavy fae romance series, and I read the first two. The first one was very interesting. I do think that it is extremely similar to A Court of Thorns and Roses. This girl ends up marrying, her brother has gone missing. She gets a lead about where her brother is and basically has to marry this fae, and he takes her to the Fae world where her brother is at. It is an extremely brutal world, much more so than A Court of Thorns and Roses, I will say that. But she has to go through some trials. You see how they relate. So there's that. And then the second one, I will admit, was pretty sloppy. but the characters are written so well and it's so action-packed that I just like did not care and was just like, give me more. And it ends on the biggest cliffhanger ever, and I was like, you can't leave me hanging like that. So I need to continue the series to know what the hickety heck happens to those characters. These are all the series I need to continue. There's probably more. I am working on like a series spreadsheet, so hopefully I will get that done. I plan on doing like a live working on it on Twitch at some point. I'll have an announcement on Twitter when I plan on doing that if you are interested. If you didn't know that I have a Twitch, it will be linked down below. I do games and chit-chatty stuff there, so yeah, if you're ever interested in just hanging out with me live, that's where I'll be. I hope that you all have liked this. Let me know if you've read any of these series, which ones I should maybe prioritize over others, or if there's any other series suggestions that you have for me. I don't need any more, but I sure will. I'll keep going. So anyway, I hope that you all have liked this video. Don't forget to subscribe to see future videos from me. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.